what's up, my man?
Clever, baby, how you doing? Clever, man, let me tell you, I just think maybe perhaps you've been a bit too anime recently. Just a tiny teensy bit.
Listen, slow down, baby. Slow down. What do you mean too anime? That doesn't even make any sense.
Clever, it's just the community talking. They're saying they don't want any more anime games on stream.
Listen, this gotta be some type of prank by you. If there's one person who's not too anime, it's me. So don't even panic. Don't even worry, bruv. We'll be fine. Alright? You too anime.
Clever, baby, don't hang up on me,
What
baby.
will the kids think of next? Oh, man. But I should probably get something to eat. Too anime. Oh, that is rich. Here's all my eyes today, though. That's better. My. Another beautiful day. The birds are chirping. Ugh. America, am I right? Whew. Dare bayo. I'll tell you, food just tastes better with chopsticks. Alright, maybe I see it a little bit. Maybe I'm going a bit too anime. Maybe the stream could use a change. But I don't know what that change would be. You know what? Why should I change? I go out here. I provide a service. No one else is providing that service. Well, I mean, thousands of people are, but no one provides my service. If I want to go out and I want to play Naruto 4,000 times, why can't I? I just don't know what to do, though. I mean, if I sit around here all day, there's no choice but to play Naruto. And if I don't sit around here all day, well, I'll have to go to someone else's house to play Naruto. If I don't play Naruto on stream, how will the world know how great the Storm games are? It's my duty as a non-anime person to show the beauty of anime games.
What the hell are you talking about?
I do stand by. Food tastes better with chopsticks, y'all. No doubt. Alright, ladies and gentlemen, today we're going to talk about one of my favorite game series of all time, hands down, and today we're going to look at it as a video game player and not as a competitor. And the reason why is because this is a fighting game series, and I'm not one of those individuals that can go like, down heavy, medium, low, up, down, this, that, with DP. I don't know any of those terminologies, okay? Well, I know DP, but not the one for all, you know what I'm saying? Like, do I need to continue? Like, fighting game DP is a lot different than my kind of DP. So, the problem is, we run into two types. You're either a fighting game fan because you love the mechanics of fighting games, in which case this video is not for you. Or you're a fighting game fan because you enjoy the source material. In a lot of cases, people love Dragon Ball Z games who aren't particularly great at, I don't know, fighting games. But they love Dragon Ball Z. And much the same way, we run into Naruto Storm. Officially, its title is Naruto or Naruto Shippuden Ultimate Ninja Storm. And then it's either Ultimate Ninja Storm, 2, 3, or 4. And there are some other games in the series as well, which we'll get to. But we're going to dive into the main series games. So we're going to talk about Naruto Ultimate Ninja Storm, the second, the third, Revolutions, and the fourth game. I'm going to give you a breakdown of the series, my opinion on each game, but guys, this has nothing to do with competitive balance. I do not care about online play in any of these fighting games because I don't have the time to dedicate to the game in order to get really good at combos and learn how the fighting game mechanics work. I've never cared, not in Street Fighter, not in Mortal Kombat, not in any game that involves punching. I am a masher, I'm a proud masher, I mash, 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 mash. And that's all I do in game. Like, if this game were a potato, it'd be mashed. The thing about this series is I feel like Naruto and the team behind it, they did a tremendous job of kind of reinventing Naruto in a fighting game space while staying fairly close to the source material throughout. Now, we'll talk about it here and there, this and that, some of the subtle differences and some of the not so subtle differences between the anime to the video game series, but for the most part, they're pretty faithful and it's pretty fun to play. But let's go ahead and we'll talk about the first Storm game, okay? Naruto Ultimate Ninja Storm. I didn't love it, and this game came out in 2008. I was about 14 years old at the time, and I'm just going to level with you. It didn't feel that good, and I have a major, major, major issue with how the game's story was done. If you can find a story somewhere tucked in there, congratulations, because they really did a good job of hiding it. It's not done beautifully. I know what you're thinking. What about the Naruto canon? Don't worry. I'll show you all that fun stuff, and we'll explain why it doesn't matter in a second.
So, one of the first things that you'll notice when you load up Storm 1 is pretty simple. You've got 3 menus. 3 options to pick from the mode select menu. No, that's not a typo. It's 3. You have options, free battle, and ultimate mission mode. And there's something to be said about keeping it simple, but I just needed a little bit more when it came down to it. At the end of the day, the characters that you get off the rip pretty much carry, I'd say 90% of the fanboy in me's desires out of the package. I would like to see, like, Itachi not have to be an unlock and, like, things like that. But for the most part, the starting roster that you get straight out the box, it's not bad. However, what I will say is, compared to the other games, this game's roster doesn't hold up. But for the time period it was released, 2008, I don't have any issue with this at all. The roster is fine and dandy. In fact, it's pretty up there competitively with other 3D games or 2.5D games from that time frame. So definitely worth at least a little bit of praise in that regard. I'm not going to be unfair when I'm judging these games, fellas. Hey, you guys remember when I said, damn, there's some things in this game I don't like? Well, there you go. Look at that. Can you see it? If you aren't paying attention, you just might miss it. But it says Ultimate Jutsu, Mash, Spin, Command. What do you think that means? Well, let me tell you. So, in kind of the style of the Dragon Ball Z Budokai games, Naruto decided early on we were going to make it defendable. We were going to make the chance of getting hit by an ultimate jutsu come down to a more skill-based, if you will, option. And let me just be clear. there's nothing skill-based about these ultimate jutsu commands that you have to type in, or if you can spin the analog stick faster than your opponent, or if you can mash like square or X faster than your opponent. That's not skill-based, let's be honest. That's just happenstance, and it's a very to me kind of cheap way to have a ultimate jutsu be countered. Like, I would rather have, like, you know, a substitution chance, or like something where, like, if your timing is like frame one perfect, you have a way of getting out of it. This is just silly. This is, come on now, like, I have to hit all these things, and, like, my controller doesn't say the same thing as what's on the screen, so I'm all confused. I don't know what this means. I see X, I'm thinking X on PlayStation 3, I'm thinking X on Xbox. I don't know where my thumb's going. I'm getting scared, confused, a little bit hungry, and a whole lot a bit horny. So, at the end of the day, we gotta do something about this whole ultimate jutsu fiasco. Don't worry, they do something immediately. One of the other things I thought was a little bit weird about this game was just the fact that there weren't that many locations to fight at. There's like 8 or something in the game. It's kind of ridiculous. There's so many cool locations in Naruto for it to feel like so limited. It felt like, you guys know the Ultimate Ninja Showdown games? Those were, like, fun and whatever, but at the end of the day, they had some serious flaws. And the flaws were that you felt like you're fighting on, like, the same 3 areas every single match, and, like, the background got repetitive, and I think this game suffers a bit from that. But we haven't even really delved into the major issue I have with the game, which comes down to the story mode. So, number one, this feels so tedious going through the world. They give you this option called the Naruto canon, which, okay, it's kind of fun to mess around with, but in reality, you don't end up saving a whole lot of time using the Naruto canon over, like, walking in a practical playthrough. It's not like you're trying to speedrun the game and shave off seconds here. At the end of the day, we're literally being forced to walk around Konoha in a child's body, doing ridiculous missions to progress the story. And you might think to yourself, well, I'm sure you don't have to play all, like, these side missions to advance the story. Just play the story missions. No. There's specific missions that you have to complete in order to gain XP so that you can unlock the next story mission. So there are times you have to, no choice, play hide and go seek with Konohamaru just to get the XP so you can unlock the next story mission, which doesn't give you any XP for God knows what reason. Like, why even go through the story if it's not even building an experience? But I digress. Regardless, I was not a huge fan of the way this was done. So I could definitely take a little bit less of the grindy aspect. It felt a little bit like they just put in a bunch of, like, mini games that would appease, like, toddlers. Like, what teenager wants to go with Naruto in a Naruto game who watches the anime? What kid is like, yes, I want to pick up this crate over my head and throw it on this button. Yay, now I got 5 kunai. Hurrah. Like, that's not fun. There's nothing fun about that. There's nothing inherently unique or interesting to do that in a game with. So I don't know why they put in some of the mechanics that they did, but it was in there. And it doesn't disappear immediately in the sequel, so shame on them. But regardless, I am still saying this game is not horrendous, especially for the time, but as far as holding up to today's standards with how everything's going, I would have a hard time putting this game up on a pedestal. So the best way to describe this is Naruto Ultimate Ninja Storm loosely, very loosely covers the part 1 pre-time skip of Naruto after a certain point. It's very kind of like peculiar exactly how they did it. Jiraiya, you're kind of learning under Jiraiya, you're kind of learning different skills and whatnot with Naruto, so you can kind of sort of figure out where you're at as far as the timeline goes. However, it's a weird like middle ground and whatever, and it's taking you through basically the events that lead up to the second, third, and fourth games, which is fine, but it's so like bad compared to how the other games were done. There's so many fights that you're doing that just don't happen. Like, there's like 5 fights against this bone dude. I can't even remember what his name is, but he was in the anime for like 13 seconds, and he fought drunk Rock Lee, and that's like the biggest moment of his career, except for this game, which features him in like 18 fights, and then you fight like Gamba Bunta like 17 times. It's very weird the way they decide to extend the game's life as opposed to just adding more stuff from the show. With like the focus was on mini games, and the boss fights were kind of cool but repetitive. I don't know if I mentioned this, but the way the fighting mechanics work is there's one button for punch, one button to throw kunai, one button to charge chakra, and then that same button is also used to use your ultimate jutsu or your regular jutsu, and some characters have more than one jutsu in the series, so they're able to kind of switch out. So maybe one day you want to use Sasuke's fireball jutsu, but maybe another day you're feeling like, oh, maybe I want to use this Chidori thing. See what that's all about. Well, the games all let you switch, but the first game definitely has less options and whatnot, so you do have certain things you can change with your characters pre-fight, but it's definitely limited. Again, definitely the weakest of the game so far. It was quite a challenge to actually finish on stream just because it was so grindy. Doing all the side missions just so I could make it through the story missions that weren't that good. Like I mentioned, there are good parts of the game, but it just falls a bit flat. And to be honest, when I first played this, I felt the exact same way, and I was like, wow, I'm like, it feels like an early PS2 game and like not a one that should be like revisited. However, God, am I thankful that they did revisit it, because they did an amazing job kind of just understanding what all the flaws were in this game and kind of just rectifying, if not all of them, 99% of them in the following games. So as a building block to a decent series, I can't find too much fault in that. But yeah, if you're looking for a game to hop into in Naruto, if you're looking to play the series, low key, you could probably skip this game. It's just not anything special. Like if you want to be able to say you played it, more power to you. I won't stop you, but you don't have to. Like, what are you trying to prove?
So as far as the first Storm game goes, honestly, I could have used more. I could have used more story. I mean, at the end of the day, like I mentioned, I'm fighting a dude that, like, is in the anime for, like, 10 seconds. I fight him, like, 8 times. There's so many cool moments in the show and in this game, but you have to grind to be able to do it. Like, you have to do all these stupid side missions that never happened. Like, the fact I have to play hide and seek with Konohamaru is absurd. Like, think about that. Think about that. To progress the game's story, you gotta play some hide and go seek with Mr. Konohamaru over there. What? Why? If this game was a mission, it would be D rank. It might even be lower. I don't know. If there's a rank lower than D rank, it would be that. Like, this is a game that Genin would laugh at, okay? And we're getting awfully nerdy up in here. So now we're talking about Storm 2, and this is where the game starts to get some teeth. This is when they start sinking those fangs right into your neck. If this was a game, it'd be like Dracula's cousin, okay? Not quite the Prince of Darkness, but like, we're starting to get there. We're starting to get something. Now, what I liked most about this sequel is that it did something that almost no other sequel does. It improved on just about everything the original had, and then stayed more faithful to the source material. So, you have a story that, isn't just kerfuffled with grinding missions. You have some exploration. You feel like you're in control of the game, but you get to play through the story at your own pace. Again, not bad. Not bad, not bad. One of my favorite things about gaming is the fact that you can tell such a great story. And this game has legitimately made me cry a bunch of times. Is part of that because I lost my dad? Maybe. But also, it tells an emotional story. Like, regardless if you've experienced loss or whatnot, pretty much everyone has, to some degree. There's a lot of deep emotional connections that are built within this game's world, and a lot of those ties are severed. If you know the characters more than just knowing their faces, you know the story behind them. A lot of the deaths are pretty hard to take, and they did a marvelous job kind of, figuring out a way to dance around that touchy subject matter while also keeping the game fun and having plenty of light moments and plenty of great action scenes.
Alright, so we're going to talk about the second game, Ninja Storm 2. And basically what we've got going on is a vast improvement over the first game in the series. Now, why do I say that? Well, the game mechanics feel a little bit better. Ultimate jutsus now connect as long as you hit them. The first time, you don't have to mash. You don't have to hit a bunch of quick time events. You don't have to do anything crazy. Your ultimate jutsu just does damage, which is the way it should be. You shouldn't have to essentially beat your opponent twice. Like, you already tricked them into getting hit into an ultimate jutsu. It should be your reward to get that damage off. And God, if it doesn't just let you do that, So, the game feels better right off the rip. You've got more characters. They did a better job giving more maps, more variety. And then when you get into the story mode is... If the last game was, like, loosely covering, this is above loose, but it's not tight. It's not the exact story of Naruto Shippuden. It's not exactly the way it happened in the anime. There's some fights that they put in here just to extend the life of the game. There's some different training things that happen that you don't necessarily do. Or rather that don't necessarily happen in the anime that you do play in the game, which, it's a game, so you do have to kind of add in some filler content at some points. However, as the fourth and third game show, you don't have to do as much as this one, but regardless, it's still very good. A couple of the problems that I have with this game, though, because this game is not absolutely perfect. It's a good game. However, when I get to thinking about the massive flaws, I start thinking about QuickTime events. And there's QuickTime events in all the games. However, in this game, for whatever reason, the QuickTime events are so quick. Like, I know they're QuickTime events, but golly, man, let me at least read the screen. There's certain fights where you have to do QuickTime events in the story mode. And I swear you have to, like, know what they are before they pop up because there's no chance you react quick enough. I know I can't because I don't know, like, the face buttons. It's giving me the Xbox face buttons, and I'm pre-programmed to do the PlayStation face buttons. So, you know, if they had showed me, like, triangle, square, circle, X, maybe I could have done the QuickTime events a little bit better. But regardless, I was getting everything confused in my head. There were times I had to replay QuickTime event sessions like 4 times, just memorize what the pattern was so I knew what to hit before it was happening, which is a little bit annoying, I'm not going to lie. It could have been utilized a bit better. On top of that, there's items in the game that you have to craft, and you have to craft each individual item you use during your story progression. So if you want to use items, you literally have to do busy work, which is not, as you know, my favorite thing. And I could definitely have used way less of that, but the items are kind of like, you don't really need them in the story mode. Like, I don't need guard breaks, I don't need, like, the kunai bombs, I don't need anything fancy, but it would be nice to, you know, at least have the option of doing that. Now, where the game goes incredibly right and kind of, you know, starts creating that own path, the path away from, say, like the Dragon Ball Z prototype of fighting games. It kind of just owns itself, if that makes sense. Instead of you worrying about, I want to be this genre of game and I want to fit into this market, they said, we're Naruto, we're going to show you what this series has to offer, and we're going to put our story on the forefront. I do think there are times that moving around in the game are a little bit clumsy. I think that there are times it is a bit grindy just getting through to certain missions. However, the payoff once you get to those missions is great. There's not full voice acting, which is kind of disappointing, I'm not going to lie, especially, like, I've seen the other games. Like, I know it can be done, and I know that they do it well, so why did you not put in full voice acting for everything? Some things you have to, like, just read. You have to physically click through the subtitles as well, which is, you know, not terrible. It's not the worst thing on the planet, but, like, it does create, like, this little disconnect that doesn't really need to be there. But at the end of the day, you end up going through one of the coolest story times in Naruto. You get Shippuden, and you get to go pretty much all the way up to Jiraiya's fight with Pain, which is amazing. It's really cool. I really enjoy how much of the game and how much of the story this game covers. Like, every time I think about the Storm games, I always get confused by, like, what game is what plot. Because genuinely, outside of the first game, it feels like each game covers almost too much of the story, but that's just how long Naruto is, you know? It's very interesting, and it's very it's very cool the way they did it, and it's interactive. It's different than any other anime game, realistically. So it would be a little bit, I don't know, it would be a lie to say that everything was done perfect in this game. However, the fact that you get to play basically through the Pain series, I think you actually do get to fight Pain as Naruto as well, if I'm not mistaken. I think that's where it ends. It ends after the Pain fight. But regardless, it's a massive chunk of the story. They do a good job covering some of the side stories, and also giving credit to the main stories in the game. All the characters look really cool. All the characters feel really cool. There's 44 characters and 15 support characters, so there's a big step up from the first game. And let's be honest, the jutsus look cool, and the ultimate jutsus look much more cool than they did in the first game. And it makes sense. Those were the pre-time skip characters. Like, they weren't as powerful as they are now. And, they became way cooler in this iteration. And that's a very... it's a testament to the game devs that they really put a lot into the feel of this game. And that's what kind of matters at the end of the day. The other great thing about this game that I don't even know if I mentioned is that in the story mode, yes, you do take control of Naruto. However, you do get to control other characters. There are times you're going to play as Shikamaru, Sasuke. You're not always just locked into Naruto. Even in the overworld where you're kind of just like free roaming, you're still able to control other characters from time to time as you go down their story paths and learn what Sasuke is up to, or get to see Shikamaru kind of avenge his sensei. There's a lot to be said about like the kind of creativity that is presented, where you just kind of have freedom to learn the story. And if you played the Storm series, you would have a pretty good idea of what happened in the anime and manga. However, when we talk about like substitutions and stuff, there's a couple issues that we run into, and the big issue is, well, substitutions are there's no substitution bar, okay? And when you have no substitution bar, that means every fight's going to be you spamming substitution jutsu because there's no penalty not to. So when you end up fighting people or friends, it's just a whole lot of substitutions until someone messes up the timing, and it's a little bit dull in that sense. But aside from that, for the most part, there's not a whole lot of other complaints. Low-key, it feels a lot better than the first game. Like I said, the story is covered in a much more thorough way. I would like to have seen more voice acting, but the amount of story that you get from this game, the amount of kind of replayability as well, getting to kind of learn from past mistakes and battles and whatnot, and just like the joy of getting to see probably my favorite part of the story retold. Definitely super cool, interesting. I like the way they did everything. It was really smart to me, and hopefully a lot of people also enjoy this game growing up, because it was definitely a big part of my childhood as well. So yeah, that's pretty much all I got for the second game. Guys, if you want to see more in-depth reviews, I was originally going to talk about every single menu and every single game and like all the minute differences and whatnot, but like, let's be honest, this video is already long, and like, do you really want this to be like a 4-hour long video? I think it would be more practical to do like a video on each game if people would want to see that. We'll see how this one does, and if you do want to see it, or you have a specific game out of the series that you would like to see me delve into, hit me up in the comments, and I will do my best. Also, like and subscribe. Just a shameless plug by me, but regardless, you should do it anyways.
For me, no cap, if this game was a mission, I'd probably give it a B. It's very solid. Very solid. Happy with it. It does its job. Yes, there's bits and pieces that could have been done better. There's some stuff that is like, why is this in the game? But I think for the most part, they did a good job. And I like replaying this game, and it's one of the games that I go back to. Unlike the first game, which I rarely play. I would never replay on stream because the amount of grinding required is just absurd. The second game eliminates that. There's a few things, like I mentioned, with the inventory and like creating items to use that is a little bit janky, but as we'll see, some of those issues start to, be solved in later games. So now we come to Storm 3, and Storm 3 is one of those games that squint real hard, and it's a perfect game. And I say squint because there are some flaws, a few flaws, especially from a non-competitive background side, right? A lot of people, if you take a look at the third and the fourth game, a lot of people will kind of be on the fence, not really knowing which one's better. Some people swear by the third game, some people swear by the fourth game, but that's usually on the comp side of things. That's usually people that are really good at the game that either like the way you can punish people better in the third game versus the fourth game, or vice versa, Now, my issue, my big issue, is I'm not a competitive player. So all these games are being judged on their storylines, and when we look at the storylines in games, it's pretty simple. The third game is excellent. Like, it's really good. It does everything well. Are there some things that aren't as accurate? Sure. Is there still that looming issue of you need to kind of create your own items and whatnot? Yes. But honestly, it's not as bad as the second game, and you don't really need anything to get by the third game. Like, you don't need to use items if you don't want to use items, and that's nice for me. I don't need that. I don't need that negativity in my life. Lord, they finally listened. They gave us a tournament mode. They gave us something more than just playing the computers. Like, if I don't have friends, which I don't, if I don't have friends, I can finally play the game and have some varied options, and that's excellent. It's about time. Loners unite.
So, what's the gist of Storm 3? What is the main takeaway? What do you need to know about Storm 3? So, Storm 3 is the first game in the series that really kind of expands what you're able to do in the game on your own. They give you tournament modes. They give you challenges to do, fights with restrictions and stuff that are separate from the story mode. So, at any point in time, you can just kind of load in, do your thing, stock up on all your items and whatnot, and then go on, hop into the game, and play on your own, and not have to worry about any story missions, not have to worry about any progress. You just go in, either do your mission lists, which there's like a bunch of different challenge missions. Like, I don't even know how many challenge missions there are in the game, but like there's a lot. There's a great deal of missions with different. I think there actually might be like 100 missions or something crazy. If I'm not mistaken, there may be like something wild like 100. And if that's the case, like you're talking like pure insanity. Like, I think there's like 10 different stages where you get like you unlock each mission at a time. So you have to play like mission 1 to 100. Either way, the modes are crazy. They're super fun to play. But again, where this game kind of just wins me over, it's in the story. The story, again, is done even better than it was in the second game. This is an even more faithful recreation of the anime. It gives you a pretty much concisive rundown all the way up to the Obito fight. There's a lot of content, and they do a good job kind of showing you like all the different fights and different cool moments that happen in the anime, and like made it video gamey in a way that you could actually like, enjoy everything happening, and like it didn't feel grindy. It didn't feel like they were putting stuff in the game just to waste time for you. It felt like, oh, I'm getting stronger. I'm building my character. I'm learning this. I'm learning that. And it did its job beautifully. Like, I've got no complaints at the end of the day. When I look at this game, just as a personal individual, myself, I actually really enjoyed the boss fights. I enjoyed the way they did everything, and like the boss battles, like they did it in a way like, yes, they used QuickTime events for some of it, but some of it was yourself. Some of it was planning. You had to like pay attention to like figure out how you were going to defeat some of the bosses. The set pieces were really nice. They did a great job making you feel like you were in the world of Naruto, and that's why we play the games. That's the only reason why we play the games, because we want to feel like an ultimate ninja badass. Like, at the end of the day, that's what matters. So, aside from all the normal stuff that will happen in basically every sequel, you get more characters, you get more moves, you get more customization, and all the characters feel good. There's a lot of characters that feel very similar in the game, I will say. There might be like, I don't know how many different characters are specifically in the third game off the top of my head, but let's say there was 100. I would say like probably like 20 of them feel very similar to other characters, in just like terms of combos, and like some stuff can get repetitive. Like, I'm not going to sugarcoat it. It's true. But regardless, for a fighting game and an anime game, someone who's trying to basically play the game to not have to watch the anime, this is done beautifully. I had a dang good time. Kishimoto and everyone else that was involved in any of the CyberConnect 2, obviously. I mean, let's be honest. You did a great job. Like, I don't have big complaints about any of this, you know? Yeah, I mean, even still to this day, it's one of the highest rated Naruto games. I mean, they've made some good games in the past, so that's kind of a testament. The boss battles, really good. I didn't feel that the decision mechanics, the ultimate decision mechanics, really mattered, but I think they did a good job making the graphics look better, the game look better, the characters feel better, and just overall, it's a step up from the second game, which was already, pretty good. So, like, if you have a game that was already pretty good and you made it better, slow clap for you. You're doing what you should be doing in the game community, which is make good games and then don't take steps backwards. We're about to talk about that, though, in a minute. Oh, God. I'm still concerned about what you guys are going to think about Revolutions. That's where I'm a little bit scared. But regardless, yeah, I mean, just in the general sense and a specific sense, Naruto Storm 3, I dare say, is a perfect game if you just removed the... this is the thing. I feel like the developers were stubborn. They were like, no, the free roam aspect matters. Then we need to have it. If you took the free roam out and just gave the story, I think the game just automatically plays better. And it's not even that I think the free roam is necessarily bad. I just don't think it adds anything. I just think, like, it's adding steps in between being able to see the next mission, which that bothers me slightly. That's the only part of the game that could be improved, really. let me see. Is there anything else that's like just dire when I think about the third game other than that? I mean, yeah, just the free roam sections are the only part that kind of hamstring it again. And, you know, I'm not going to lie, those issues get fixed multiple times in the future games. Anyways, you guys will have to wait and see what I'm talking about. But yeah.
All right, so what is there to say about this game? It's done beautifully. Everything about it is captivating. The fight sequences are great. The quick time events are less punishing than the second game by a long shot. You can actually like make a mistake here and there and not just be completely out of luck, which is a big thing, especially for the casual gamer. Like, I don't want to replay the same QuickTime event 4,000 times, and there's some QuickTime events that are actually kind of tricky. Like, in the second game, the Lady Chio QuickTime event is actually pretty hard. You have to nail every input correctly, and it's like 7 inputs long. And if you're not used to Xbox controllers, you're out of luck. And I was out of luck until I got used to, like, oh, X is where square is, and A is where X is, and, like, you get it all mixed up in your head. Regardless, third game makes QuickTime events way easier, way more sporadic. It doesn't feel like every single fight is a QuickTime event. It doesn't feel like it's overused. It feels like it kind of helps to let you kind of sit back and watch the story unfold, which is kind of the point. The story is really good. Some things, again, they put random stuff in that you don't really need. It doesn't really serve any purpose. But again, it's filler, and like it extends the game's life and all that. Regardless, if this game was a mission, it's A tier 100% of the time. It's an excellent game, very fun to play. The second and third game, you can just pick them up and have a good time playing. Way bigger roster. The jutsu are amazing. The presentation of the game is just absolutely phenomenal. If you hate this game, maybe you just don't like fighting games or Naruto, and if that's the case, why? Alright guys, now this one is going to separate some people because Ninja Storm Revolutions is one of those games that a lot of people hate. A lot of people hate this game. And I understand. A lot of people hate it from the comp side, a lot of people hate it from the casual side. The reason being, of course, is there's not really a story mode. That has nothing to do with why comp people hate it. There's other reasons, but we're not getting into that in this video. The main point is, guys, I don't know how to break this to you, but I like this game. I think it's a step in the wrong direction, but I had fun playing this game. I only played it this year for the first time, and let me tell you, as someone who appreciates stories and games, I was ready. I was biased. I was willing to just crucify this game. I was about to be like, this is the worst game I've ever seen. I spent $5 on it. $5 for a Naruto game that performs pretty well. It's fun. It's actually fun.
All right, so let's go ahead and talk about Revolution. So, here's the gist of it. There's not a traditional story mode, okay? There's not, and I'll be the first to admit that. However, there's a bunch of different tournament modes. There's a bunch of different offline modes. There's online. But what I was intrigued about was the tournament mode. So when you hop into the tournament mode, you're thinking it's just your run-of-the-mill tournament, but it feels like it has been, I don't know, upgraded in a way. It's not your daddy's tournament mode. It's not the average. There's a bit more to it. There's like little pieces of story in there. And basically you start off at the lowest level, and as you keep advancing, you unlock new areas in the tournament mode. And as you unlock new areas, you unlock new difficulties, new tournaments, all the way to fighting up you end up fighting in these what-if battles, which are just incredible. Like, oh, what if you happen to fight, like, Team Hokage, and you have Naruto and Sasuke and, like, Obito or something? Like, it gives you, like, a chance to go out and, like, fight amazing what-if scenarios. And, like, there's a bunch of cool teams in all the tournaments. So it's very challenging at times. I don't love the fact that instead of being, like, fights with health, it's a fight to get the most orbs in a battle. I don't think I ever lost a single fight under the orb system. I do think it was unique, a little bit different, something that wasn't expected, but I don't think it was necessarily like moving the earth by any means. Just a different way of deciding who would win in a fight. And I had a lot of fun with the way they set this up, and then something kind of crazy happened. Guys, I'm going to let you in on a little secret. After you beat the tournament, there's another mode. See what I did there? There's a secret little, there's a secret tournament. Yeah, so let's get into this a little bit. So as far as game modes, I did tell you have the tournaments, which is 100% true. You also have these kind of backstory missions that explain, like, kind of how the Akatsuki was formed and, like, provide some background information, which are really cool. However, this Mecha Naruto storyline that we end up getting is extremely cool, and it's extremely cool because they basically just kind of, like, retell the story of Naruto in a completely different way, but in a way that parodies Naruto in its entirety, from all the emotions that Naruto goes through in the actual anime to what this basically filler episode character ends up feeling. It's really interesting to see how they made me care about Mecha Naruto, because realistically, I mean, I should hate him. I should be like, this is not the story mode I paid for. But I had fun. It was a genuinely decent distraction from, like, having to be invested in the other games, where this was like a cool ass story where they basically, like, pulled a Max Payne, where instead of having the Dick Justice commercial where he's like, oh yeah, the love of my life got captured, but I'm gonna go do this and that and blah blah blah, and it turns out to be like, oh, Dick Justice is just Max Payne, but on the television. It's all the universe laughing at itself and laughing at Max Payne. This is Naruto's universe laughing at Naruto, saying, hey man, you've been through a lot, but you also have to go through this. There's a lot of characters in the game. The game feels a little bit looser, no doubt. I feel like they had to do that just by the style of the game. It doesn't feel like it handles as well as the third game or the fourth game for that matter. But it's just fun. Like, if you go in expecting it to be like Naruto Storm 4, you're going to be in trouble. You should look at this as being Naruto Storm 3.5. It's Storm 3 on its way to becoming Storm 4. And that's literally all you can do. Like, if you look at it a different way, I could see disappointment, you know? However, I don't have that disappointment. I think they did a marvelous job. I'm happy with it. I, again, think that for the most part, games are meant to be fun. They made a story that I genuinely did find interesting. I like the Mecha Naruto story. I like the tournament setting. I like the what if scenario where, like, it's a video game, so, like, the sky should be the limit. Like, hey, what if you're going out there and you're fighting all the Hokage, or you're fighting all the Biju, or you're fighting the tailed beasts, like, already transformed, and it comes down to a tournament of you and, like, Rock Lee and, like, you know, whoever else you want to have on the team. I like how open-ended it is. I like how there's not busy work. Everything that you want to do in the game is typically what you want to do in the game. I like how meta they got with the Mecha Naruto story. There's no doubt. I appreciate that kind of stuff. I think it was actually kind of smart. I think it's tough to tell the same story twice, and they're kind of doing it 3 times with Boruto. But it also drills home, like, their whole reincarnation destiny, like tropes that they really have been driving home in the series. Like, as much as you try to escape your destiny, at some point it comes back to you, but you can still break your destiny. Again, it's really smart and heady stuff. It probably goes over a lot of people's heads, myself included. I probably don't understand all the concepts fully, but it's still very interesting. And again, you give me a game that's fun, that has a story mode that I don't hate. As someone who likes a story mode, I think this game gets a lot of hate that it doesn't deserve. I think a lot of people, if they change their perspectives, they would be able to appreciate the game further, and there's just no way around that. I can't make you love this, but I think if you give it an open-minded chance, you could actually really enjoy the game. And it is one of the games that, like, probably above all the other games, on my own free time, if I just have, like, an hour or two to kill, like, while I'm waiting for something to, like, upload, I will occasionally plug this game in and legitimately play it. Like, it has happened before, and it likely will happen again. It's a fun plug-and-play game. It feels decent. The mechanics work. It's not a broken mess by any stretch. So yeah, I genuinely don't get the hate, and the fact that, like, we kind of got some backstory, and, like, decent backstory with, like, cool art and animations and everything. And by the way, I should just say this, the music and art and everything in every game is really solid. Like, I don't really have complaints on that front. Like, I could complain about some things, but I mean, realistically, the art, the music, the presentation, really high standards from game one on. So yeah, I don't have a whole lot of disappointment on any of the games as far as presentation. But this game especially, it does what a game needs to do, which is be fun. And I'm happy with that. And if that is enough to annoy some people that I had fun playing this game, I understand. But also, like, go touch grass, kid. You feel me, dog?
Now, I know what people are thinking. It's kind of a cop-out to basically retell the story of Naruto, and you're literally using Naruto's likeness to tell the exact same story over again. But I think there's brilliance in that. And I think that the fact that the character was so peculiar, but also, like, familiar in a weird way, even though he looked like a crazy killer puppet, I think he did an excellent job in being a vessel for this story to go through. And, I mean, that along with, like, the 3, like, I don't want to call them what-ifs, but, like, some backstory explanation, it's excellent. I was really, really, really pleasantly surprised with how much fun I had playing the game. Now, having said that, I don't know about the replayability besides if you just want a game to plug in and play that you don't have to be too worried about. That's always going to be tricky. There's not really... I don't think I'll play the Mecha Naruto story again, especially on stream. But I could see myself in like a year picking it up and playing through it again. I could see that. I could see me definitely playing some of the other tournament modes and whatnot, and just kind of loading it up and trying some challenges and like trying out the characters. I like the way the game feels. I like a lot of the stuff in the game. Alright, now, in the beginning of this, I said that this game went in the wrong direction, and I stand by that. If the second game gave the series teeth, and the third game gave this series fangs, then this game kind of dulled those fangs a little bit, okay? Like, I'm not gonna lie, but is it a bad game? No. People think that the first game, Ultimate Ninja Storm, is better than this game. I disagree wholeheartedly. I'd much rather play Revolutions than, by any stretch of the imagination, play the first game. There's just no way. I'm sorry. I'm giving it a B. I'm going to drop it down. This game is literally 3.5. It's a bridge to the fourth game. I know some people compared it to Metal Gear Solid Ground Zeroes. No. Ground Zeroes was $60 for a game that you could beat in under an hour, and you're in one location. It's not fun, and like there's hardly any voice acting. And goodness, it's terrible. It's absolutely terrible what Kojima and Konami did with Ground Zeroes. Ridiculous. This game is a full game, and you'll get some time out of it. You'll get some legitimate time out of it if you want to. Solid B rank if it was a mission. Solid B rank. Like I'm not sending any old regular tuning out there to grab this game. You know what I'm saying? So now we get to go into uncharted territory with Naruto Shippuden Ultimate Ninja Storm 4. Alright, this game is probably my favorite in the series, and let me tell you why.
Alright, so, any of my gripes that I had from, I would say, any of the games in this series, they were fixed in the fourth game, and let me explain. So, I didn't like the busy work of having to walk around an area. I think I've been clear on that today. This game decided to streamline the whole process. I mean, take a look at that. It's a beautiful thing. There's a timeline, and basically you go from point to point on the timeline, not having to walk around an entire village, just taking steps to take steps, and you get to experience the story. the way they tell the story in this game is also excellent, in my opinion. They have a bunch of artwork and like animated scenes, and they're all voice acting. The artistically, I enjoy it a lot. It's super cool to me to watch. I enjoy the boss fights. The character pool is massive in this game. Everyone in the game looks spectacular. The ultimate jutsus, like, they were impressive in the second game. They were really impressive in the third game. They were whatever in Revolutions, and then in the fourth game, like, every single ultimate jutsu looks so cool, and the amount of time they put into each ultimate jutsu is super cool. The jutsus look cool. Everything about the game looks and feels and plays better. I like the character cast. I enjoy having Naruto from the Naruto the Last movie, Sasuke the Last. Having them from Boruto as well is a very nice touch. Having I wish they would have made unique characters out of, like, Shikamaru in them, but the fact that you get to play as them in Shippuden, or not Shippuden, in Boruto, their style, if you want, is super cool. The customization options are really cool, and they got rid of a lot of the annoying shit. So instead of, having to craft all of your items, now you just need to unlock them, and boom, you've got your items. What items do you want to have? Doesn't matter. Pick them. Here you go. Boom. So a lot of the busy work, a lot of the stupid stuff is just cut out. It's perfected. And then, like I said, you can also just kind of enjoy the game for what it is. And go into the other modes, because they didn't remove any of the other modes. They actually added more modes, including the Boruto mode, where you can just kind of hop in. And the Boruto mode has its own additional mode inside of it, where you can, like, fight all these additional missions, like, again, what-if scenarios, which is really cool. They did a lot to add content to the game, where it doesn't feel like busy work. It feels like, oh, I'm playing the game because I like this game, and these are cool missions I get to complete. That's genius. That's why I've been asking them to do this entire series, and boom, they did it. They just went out and they did it. Like, god damn! Like, that's what I'd say in my past life as a beaver, anyways.
I mean, just look at that. Look at it, streamlined. You know exactly what has to happen. There's no walking. But you know what? Just for you people that hate that stuff, that hate the fact that this game just lets you get into the story, you get the most art, you get the most everything. Everything's simplified and easier and user-friendly. You guys hate that. You hate it for some reason. I don't understand, but for the sake of argument, let's say I understand. Boruto. If you missed any of that, if you missed any of the walking around and the doing random missions and the random fights and having somewhat of a story to follow, you can just play the Boruto run. And it's fun! It's actually pretty good, and you get some cool characters. Now, obviously, I don't love the way everything's done with the game. I'm not a huge fan of the fact that, I had to pay like $20 to get two extra characters, but like, whatever, that's fine. Alright, so they didn't do everything well with the entire game, but what they did do well, they did great. So, there's not too much more for me to say. This is the best game in the series for me. I know some people would disagree, and those people are what we call wrong, but regardless, I'm kidding, of course. I give this game, if it were a mission, an S rank. You better be Anbu level and up if you're going to handle this, because it just feels fluid, it feels good, it's fun to play. There's nothing that stands out that's drastically wrong with it. It gives you the best story of all the games, and again, like, if you're just in it for the comp side, there's not really a difference between 4 and 3 as far as competitive goes. You'll have a great time playing either, and some people still swear by 3, and that's fine. But it's the most well-rounded game. It's the easiest to get into. It's the easiest and most palatable game in the series. You can just walk in, and the visuals are outstanding. Every single bit of it. The music, again, it's one of those games that can like bring out emotions, and the series has meant so much to me throughout the years, and the fact that it's so good and we're getting a new game in the series that's incorporating more Boruto, that's excellent. That's super fun for me, and I'm excited to play it. When Connections comes out, obviously we'll play it day one, and we'll have a good time. But guys, thank you so much for going on this journey with me. And, my agent might have had a point about me being a little bit too anime. I saw it a little bit, but it wasn't too bad. And let me tell you why it wasn't too bad. It wasn't too bad because at the end of the day, I realized something. I realized something huge. I'm not too anime. In fact, I'm the right amount of anime. And on stream, we play the right amount of anime games. Sorry, Bronca.